We're continuing with Registers of the Consistory of Geneva in the time of Calvin. This is volume 1 of 1. And we only did the introduction. Now we're transitioning into the registers themselves. It's March 10th here in Tucson, and it's beautiful out. Okay. So it jumps right in here. I'm not sure what to expect. I've read parts of this before, but lots of footnotes, which might be worth reading as well. The 10th consistory, held in the year 1542 on Thursday, February 16th, which was held and observed in the chapter house after the creation of the new Lord Syndics nobles Amid Poral, Claude Portemps, Amlard Cornas, and Claude Rosé, appointed by the Council of 200. Those attending the said consistory: Lord Darlos, for noble Claude Portemps, appointed to the consistory, absent on the business of the city: Calvin, Viret, Champrelou, Bernard, Henry, Mara, Roger, Froger, Britillon, and the officer Vavre. Jane, the daughter of Lois Giraud of Geneva, wife of Jehan Mermex, the servant of the Persian tower. She replies that she has done her best to find her husband, but she's not been able to find him, and he left her because his father did not want him to complete this marriage. She was remanded to the consistory, resolved that she be chaste and responsible, and meanwhile one will learn from the preacher of Thonon where her husband could be, in order to learn where he can be found. Okay. New marriage case. Lois du Biolay has appeared against Egrige Pierre Magnin, I'm going to butcher most of these names, citizens of Geneva. This is a new marriage case. Presented a supplication and requests what is contained in it. The said Magnin has been summoned and has not appeared. Egrige Pierre Magnin has not appeared because he's not been found, and remanded to be summoned for Thursday. That's a different case, though, so interesting enough. Okay. There's a new case of Pernay, son of late Robert Dupuy of Corsier, versus Claudaz, daughter of the late Lois du Boulos, carpenter, conceived by Maurice Tauchet, widow of the said Lois du Boulos, said that about 2 years ago he and the said Claudaz were on the Mount Saleve and walked together, and on returning the said Claudaz asked the said Pernay to owe the capon. There's a footnote that says regarding a capon, the meaning here is not clear. Possibly there was a custom of giving a capon to the lord of the place on the occasion of a marriage. Okay. And the said Pernay did not understand what this was about. Also, later when they were in Colognes, they drank together in the name of marriage, as will be made to appear by good witnesses. And he understands that she drank with him in the name of marriage in returning from Colognes while descending the mountain. And the said Claude denies his whole statement, except that she drank with him in the company of others and not in the name of marriage. And she does not believe that she has consented or done anything else, because this was not with the consent of her relatives or her mother. And she has given an account of her faith and creed. Maurice, her mother, said that she does not understand that the said Claude, her daughter, consented at all to marriage of the said Claude, her daughter, and she could not give an explanation of her faith and creed. The consistory remanded them to next Tuesday before our superiors. There's a new case of Jane, daughter of the late Jehan Clement of Cranway, versus Bertin, nephew of Monsieur François Bouliens, requests as contained in her supplication, remanded to next Thursday, and summoned her supporters and Monsieur François Boulien, uncle of the said Bertin, master of the said suppliant. Master Johann Shays, surgeon, habitant of Geneva, from Suze near Die, in the said diocese in the Dauphine, stated that he has a wife, Felice Renier, daughter of the late Pierre Renier, apothecary of Chabouil, and she promised him that she would come with him here to Geneva when he wanted to come here to Geneva, that he has stayed in the city about 11 months, and she has sent to him by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 persons to say that she would come here to serve him. And the last time she told him that she should marry elsewhere and that she would not live with him as long as he stayed in this city, and that if he took another wife, she would be the godmother of his first child by her. And he will make it appear by witnesses, respectable people, proposing that someone be sent there at his expense to confirm the truth of the statement. And concerning this, he asks for advice. The names of the witnesses in the affair were Philibert Delal, Hosier, habitant of Geneva, Noël de Graisse, weaver, Enemond Berengier. The lords of the consistory advised that the witnesses be examined, remanded to Monday before our superiors. One has and then it's broken up because the text probably was either illegible or came to an end. Those who have been summoned who have not come: Gamaliel, François Bouliens, summoned. The 2 pack saddlers, Jacques and Robert. Valentin, the wife of Johann, brandy dealer, the wife of Laurent Simon. This was the 11th consistory. Okay, next order, next day, Thursday, February 23rd, 1542. So this is 7 days later. Lord Darros for Lord Pertin, Calvin, Bernard, Chemprelou, Pensabin, Frochet, Blandin, and the officer Vauvray. These are those in attendance. There's a new matrimonial case between Egrége Lois Franck and Huguin, daughter of the late Claude Dupont. And he presented a supplication and requests what is contained in it, and has been presented the gold ring mentioned. And the said Lois Franck denies all this and says he never gave her the gold ring. The said Lois was asked whether he ever promised her marriage. He answered no, and that he has been in her house a few times, but nothing more. Huguine was asked about frequenting sermons and about her faith and creed. She gave a reasoned explanation. The consistory remanded both before the council for next Monday and directed that she present her proof before them. Jane, daughter of the late Johann Clement, versus Bertin Uliens. The said Bertin says that she induced him to have knowledge of her, which he had and does not deny, but through frailty, that he knew her carnally in the month of November, and that there was a teacher there who left 4 months ago. And the said Jane says no, that he gave her a ribbon and a sleeve, and that he knew her last July or about St. John's Day. The said Bertin says in answer to her supplication that he gave her 12 sous for her wedding gift, and that what he said is true, and he offered to do whatever the Signere decided, and that she strove for it more than he. The said Jane says that if it is not as she says, that they should take her head, and that she would rather carry the child to all its teeth than give it to him if it was not his. And she has never known any other than him. Remanded before the council, which will examine them better and learn the truth better from the parties on Monday. And afterwards, on the return from the council, they will be admonished further. Next up is the wife of Laurent Simon. It was reported by Monsieur Darlos that there was a disturbance at Saint-Gervais on the Sunday of the marriage of his wife, on the Sunday of the marriage of the wife of Pesme. She, Simon's wife, answered concerning this that it is true that she was at Saint-Gervais, the said day at the evening sermon, and that she laughed at a man who was behind her and the others, and that the man said that there was someone who carried a clock, and that he said that if that man carries relics, people would kiss them after the sermon, and that she heard nothing else wrong except as she described, and that she did not want to mock the word of God and knows nothing more. And she asked Monsieur Bernard, preacher, to see if she had laughed or done anything else. Monsieur Bernard said many other things, as he would repeat to you, but this would be tedious. The consistory admonished her to be more steady in the future, not mock the word of God any more, and have the fear of the Lord, and not scorn the word of God in this way, and that she not do thus again, and that she not trouble the church again, and to honor the word of God. New matrimonial case of George Joachimos of Coincy and Mai, daughter of the late Mermit Rosat, habitant of Geneva, and says he swore faith to and promised the said Mai about 2 or 3 years ago, and they drank together in the name of marriage, producing the examination and letters written concerning this. And the said Mai says, Mai is M-Y-E. I'm assuming that's how it's spelled. I don't know what ethnicity that is. And the said Mai says that she reserved the consent of her parents. The consistory is of the opinion that the said marriage take place and that they be remanded before the council for Monday. And meanwhile, someone will speak to Monsieur Pierre de Orsiere. She was asked about attendance at sermons and about her faith, and give a good explanation, and says that she goes to the sermons as is a servant of Monsieur Pierre Malignon. Monday. Okay. Master Jacques Emin, pack saddler. We've been informed of the management and course of his household and of his guests, muleteers, merchants, and others from distant countries, and of the words they use among themselves. He answered, ... that would suggest incomplete sentences. Remanded to learn his faith and creed before coming to Holy Communion, in order to come recite them before taking it. Here in 3 weeks he did not know the creed. I believe in God the Father, or the Lord's Prayer. Master Robert Bresson, pack saddler, bourgeois of Geneva. As with the others, in 3 weeks. And next, Anthoine, daughter of the late Master Anjos, who's a bookseller. Asked if she's married. She says no, but that she is pregnant by Pierre, who lives at the glass blowers, and that she's already had 2 children, one by Monsieur Jehan Cornuti and the other by Pierre d'Orbaz, who was a gelder, and that the said Pierre has had knowledge for several times for about 2 years. And so when it uses the verb, or when it uses knowledge here, it's being metaphorical. They had very intimate knowledge. And she begs mercy of God and of justice, and says he has given her only 1 fort, F-O-R-T, and she knew well how to say her creed. And the consistory admonished her to appear next Thursday, and ordered that the said Pierre be made to come that day. Pierre the glass blower, Pierre the courrier on the Bourge de Four, the widow of Maboué, the wife of the courier, who lives in the house of Monsieur de Coudray, who lives in Morges, the 12th consistory. And it looks like, is this every 7 days they're having? Not quite. It says Thursday, February. Oh, yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, so these are, each of these are occurring on Thursdays. So these are the consistory records on Thursday. So this is Thursday, March 2nd, 1542. Lord Syndic Pertemps, Viret, and Henry. Oh, so Calvin wasn't in attendance on March 2nd. I wonder what he was doing. Well, let's see. Oh, in addition to Viret, Henry, there was Dumoulin, Pinsabin, Blenden, Tacon, Dorsiere, Frochet, and the officer Vauvray. First case was Pernette, the wife of Master Robert, the pack saddler. asked about the discipline and fashion of living in her household according to the word of God, about songs and sermons and her faith, and her servants and maids, and she gave a sound explanation of her faith and creed. The consistory gave her proper remonstrances to buy a Bible, to put before her people to read instead of game boards, cards, songs, and to eschew all dice. Eschewed all dice. I think the dice was referring to gambling. That's just a guess, though. Devenette, wife of Master Jacques Emin, also a pack saddler. She was sufficiently admonished, first given proper admonitions concerning attendance at sermons, her faith, the manner of living in religion, and her foreign guests. And she could not say her creed, at least the confession. She was admonished that within a month she should learn to render a better account of her creed, and that she should buy a Bible to show to the guests in her house, also that she have good servants and maids, and that God not be blasphemed or offended in her house. So it doesn't give the reason why they were being summoned before the consistory. It asks for an explanation or an account for what's going on, but it does not indicate why they're being called. Okay, next up on the docket, Pierre Poyent, courier from Pertuis in Provence. He has been in the city 2 years, and a fortnight ago he swore faith to a wife, and his wife is the daughter of Ferjard Dumoulard, who is a tanner. And concerning his faith and creed and attendance at sermons, he was admonished by the consistory to continue to live well according to the word of God and the Holy Scriptures. Imos Burin, day laborer of Geneva. Because of a certain child, which he says someone gave him, and which he has kept for himself, and he is married, which is against the commandment of God, and it was at Colongs-sous-Belle-Rive in a barn, and for this he asked mercy of God and of justice. The consistory remanded him before the council for next Monday and admonished him. The mother is named Mermaz de Herchant, and it is 3 weeks since she saw him, and the child is named Claude. He was asked about his faith and creed and could say nothing about it. That's not a good sign. Next on the docket is Pierre, son of Johann Rollet, who's a tower keeper. Saint Germain des Joues versus Antoine, daughter of Anjou's bookseller. I feel like these guys have made an appearance already. To whom the statement of the said Antoine was read, he denied the statement of the said Antoine. It is true that he knew her once last March. He knew her once. And if the child is his, he wishes to take it, but the said Antoine first induced him to do wrong, not he her. And he gave an explanation of his faith. The said Antoine answered that she never had the company of any other in the last 2 years except him, and that the child is his, and he should support it. And it was about Michaelmas that she had his company. Michaelmas. So Michaelmas, also known as the Feast of St. Michael and All Angels, is a Christian festival celebrated on September 29th each year. It honors St. Michael the Archangel, as well as the other archangels Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel in some traditions. All right. And it was about Michaelmas that she had his company. The said Pierre was urged to tell the truth. He says, it is true that he did not want to give himself, that he only knew her once, and that she came to him to find him in the shop and ask for a fort or a quart, and he gave her oil worth a quart. The said Pierre present and said that Antoine answers that this was to buy plums, and this was the season for plums, and he never knew her later. And she told him she was pregnant by him, and that he had already known her when she bore the other child, and that she would swear readily that it was as she said and reported. She said that the said Pierre made her support the child that she bore then, and that she was at this time in the service of the secretary Monsieur de Archa. The consistory remanded them both next Monday before the council and resolved that both should be put under oath. If she can prove that she was elsewhere at the time in March, that he says he knew her, let her profit by it and produce her proof on Monday. Advise concerning the other two children that she, ... So another incomplete sentence. So that's kind of an ongoing saga. Interesting. Okay, next on the docket was Francesa, a wife of Tivent Beauchot, courier. Asked, what is a courier? So courier is a tradesman or trade person who processes tan leather to make it more durable, flexible, and suitable for use in products like shoes and saddles and bookbinding. The process of curing involves stretching, thinning, dyeing, and polishing the leather after it has been tanned. Well, that's what Tivent Beauchot did. Asked if she is married. This is Francesa. She says yes, answers yes, 13 years ago, and that her husband lives in Morges, rather, asked why she's not with him, and that answers that her husband has no business here, and that she lives here making candles, and that she is not separated from her husband, and that it was not long ago that he came here, and that she has a daughter by her husband. Asked about her faith, of which she could give no explanation. The consistory remanded her to return in 3 weeks to repeat her faith and creed, and ordered that she strive to get her husband to come here, or that she go to find him, and to come render an account of his faith. Raymond de Verrier is next on the docket. Said and reported that he swore faith to daughter of Lois Piaget, sheath maker. And that the thing was done in a proper way, and that she consented to him, and they drank together, respectable people being present, and he gave her a silver image, and he swore faith to her, and he truly wants her. The said Lois, father of the said Aimé, said that the said Raymond did him great dishonor in swearing to his daughter, and the said Emma said that she swore faith to the said Raymond one Wednesday, and that she reserved the approval of her father and mother, and that he gave her ... incomplete sentence, at the house of a baker who pressed her so much that she consented to the said Raymond, and that she will never marry him unless her father and mother consent. The said Lois, the father, says that he holds by the edict of the council that children should not marry without the approval of their fathers and mothers, and that he did not intend the said Raymond to have his daughter. Also, the said Raymond said that the said Imaz told him another time, they want to give me a husband that I do not want, because despite them I will never have another than you. True that he reserved the consent of his father. She says she knows nothing, and that she reserved nothing the last time. The wife of the said Loy, mother of the said Imaz, and she complains of the household and of those who have taken her daughter, and that she does not want her to be married, and that she will be a girl whom he will never have. Asked why she does not want this marriage to take effect. Examined on her faith, which she could not say. The resolution of the consistory is that they be remanded before the council, and considering the reservation of the father and mother, that the marriage be denied its effect, and that efforts be made to get them to consent, and that the baker and those who have meddled be admonished on Monday. The said Raymond was asked about the reservation, if her father and mother did not consent, what he would have done about it. Answers that he would have said that they should have patience, and that he did not want to go against the will of her father and mother. The father and mother were asked about their attendance at sermons and how they serve God, and about the word of God and the holy commandments. The said mother was remanded to come here in 3 weeks to recite and explain her faith. Next on the docket, George Jacquemon's boatman versus Mayaz, daughter of Jacques Rosal. So So George versus Mayaz. The consistory remanded them as before to next Monday. The Lord's syndics have the accounts of the said marital dispute. Okay, next on the docket, Pernette, daughter of the late Jacquemus Maistre of Saverny versus Pierre Rapin, carpenter, formerly servant of Jacob in Versoix, where she was a maid. And that he swore faith twice in the presence of her brothers, Maurice Maistre being present, and that it is public knowledge that this is so, and their mistress was present, and that he married another, and that she had a child by him, and that he gave her a piece of money in the name of marriage, which is a 3 sous piece of Savoy, which she has presented here, and that it was 4 or 5 years ago, and she married his wife, he married his wife in Saint Gervais, and that she has lived in the city 2 years on the Charrier des Péroliers, and that she did not know when he published his banns, B-A-N-N-S, and that he was never in her room, and that he last slept with her about a year ago during the fair of St. Peter's, and he has always said he truly wanted her. So, incomplete sentence. The consistory resolved that the said Pierre Rapin be summoned for Thursday at the customary time and inform the council on Monday. And that is the 13th consistory. Thursday, March 9th, a week later. And this is Susan attendance, Lord Pertemps, Calvin, Viret, Champeroul, Gerbel, Dumoulard, Bertillon, Tacon, Pensaben, Frochet, Ahmed Darsemas for Vauvray. First on the docket was Frances. It's a very odd spelling. Frances, daughter of the late Lois Reyes, promised wife of Pierre Bertos, a coppersmith from Machilly. There seems to be a theme here as far as what is presented to the consistory. It says that she swore faith to him about 2 months ago, 6 weeks after Christmas, and that he left her 2 months ago today because she did not give him any money and she only had lands. And she says he went to Lyon. He didn't give me any money. And that she did not consent to his company consummating the marriage. And she says their banns were proclaimed. I kind of want to know what banns are. Like wedding banns? It's B-A-N-N-S. Banns is short for banns of marriage. It's a traditional public announcement of an impending marriage, typically made in a church. It's a practice in some Christian denominations, particularly in Anglican, Catholic, and Lutheran churches. The purpose of the banns is to announce the marriage publicly, to allow anyone with legal or religious objections to speak up, and to ensure both parties are free to marry. Traditionally, banns, B-A-N-S, N-S, 2 N's, B-A-N-N-S, are read aloud during a church service on 3 consecutive Sundays before the wedding. They include the full names of the couple and their intention to marry. If no objections are raised, the marriage can proceed. Yay. All right, that's enough of that. So that's what the banns is. So she says their banns were proclaimed. Joyeuse, her mother, says that they did not contract the said marriage in money, and there was only real estate. The consistory resolved that they strive to find him and send him to ask what he means to do, and that he do his duty. Next on the docket is Pierre Boisson. He's a point maker. What's a point maker? I kind of want to know that. In the 16th century, a point maker was a craftsman who specialized in making points. I'm assuming literal points, which were laces or cords used to fasten clothing. These points were essential in Renaissance fashion, as buttons and zippers were not yet common. Okay. That's fascinating. Okay, so Pierre Boisson, who was a point maker? says he's married to a living wife who is at home, and he has a son who is in Germany, and that he is of the gospel. And he was asked if he has known any other women besides his wife. It is true that it is said that there is a poor Mermet, daughter of Glaudas Japaz, and that she already had a child and is pregnant by one called Michael the tailor in the Tour de Boel. The consistory admonished him to improve always and to assist those whom he knows who do not travel the road well. And then Pernet, daughter of Jacquemot's Maistre, appears against Pierre Rapin, her sworn husband, and remanded to Thursday as she has already been remanded. That was the 14th consistory. A week later, March 16th, 1542. So we're on page 18, just because it's just going to get better and better. There's about 500 pages, so we're going to read them all, making sure we understand every single moment. So who was present on March 16th, 1542? Well, Calvin Invray, Gerbert Frochet, Pinsaben Bertillon, the officer, Vauvray. Okay, on the reading of the answers of Pierre Rapin to Pernon, promised wife of Pierre Rapin. The advice of the Lord preachers, Calvin Invray. Oh. So there's a footnote here because you're kind of left hanging. The advice of the two ministers is not recorded, but this affair was also discussed in council. And there's a reference for March 18, 1542, so that was 2 days later in the, I don't know which council, it doesn't say. Pierre Rapin of Thiers was condemned to public whipping, carrying a mitre on his head, and to banishment from the city, lands, and franchises under penalty of the gibbet, for having engaged himself to 2 women and having consummated marriage with both. The 2 wives, Antoine, daughter of Master Thivent, called Dumoulard, and Pernon, or Pernet, Maistre, received permission to marry again. All right. Wow. Good counsel. Okay, next on the docket, Antoine Servoz from Vienne, cobbler, living on the Rhone Bridge in the house of Claude Humbert. If he is married and if he has children, that's a sentence. If he is married and if he has children, answers that he is married and has 1 child, and if he goes to sermons, answers yes, sometimes when he can, answers that his son is only 3 and cannot yet understand them, asked about his faith and creed, answers that he does not understand it well, said the Lord's Prayer but did not know the confession, given proper admonitions to attend the sermons more often and see that he learns to say his confession, asked when he last heard the sermon and who preached and what the preacher said, answers that it was 4 days ago at Saint Gervais. He does not know what day. He has a Bible. He heard Master Farrell. Oh, cool. There's a footnote there. It says Guillaume, or William Farrell, 1489 to 1565, the famous reformer of the French Switzerland, was minister in Neuchâtel, but at the time of this session of the consistory, he lent his services to the Genevans, staying in Geneva from Monday, February 27th to Thursday, March 23rd, 1542. Oh, so Antoine got to hear Farrell preach at St. Peter's. The consistory admonished him to come within 2 weeks to render an account of his confession and his wife and family, and to frequent the sermons both on Sunday and on the day of prayer. Don Dominique de Ulmodas asked what quarrel she has with Pierre Costel, her son-in-law, and where her husband is. Answers touching her son-in-law that she does not know why, unless it was for her son's wedding, because he swore they would never drink with her and that she did not want to be present, and that her husband is away on business. Because Pierre Coster was not found, she was remanded to Thursday. Meanwhile, the said Pierre Coster will be summoned, and also Philippaz, her daughter, wife of the said Coster. Lots of abbreviations because there must be some unintelligibility of that note. Next on the docket is Pierre Gonnet versus Marcade's maid. He has presented a discharge issued by 2 vicars. The consistory is of the opinion that one learned from Marcade how the discharge was made, and also from the one who was with her then and from the neighbors, and remanded to Monday before the council and before the consistory for Thursday noble Ahmed de Ferney. Next on the docket, Pierre Bertet, called Talabard from Bellery. He was an armorer. Asked how long he had lived in the city, answers that it was 15 years since the pardon of St. Clair, and that he fell into fornication, which made him unhappy, and that his wife had no child, so that he looked to see whether he could have one elsewhere. And he begs mercy of God and of justice, and says he did it to spare his wife, who was old. Asked if he knew why his wife had no child, because when he first made her pregnant, she did not want him to reveal that she ruptured her womb. Answered that she said it was not for that reason that she was ruptured, etc. Remanded by the consistory to Monday before the council, and meanwhile that he, ... But there's a footnote that says, it's obviously an incomplete sentence, but on January 27, 1542, the council ordered Pierre Bertet put in prison for 3 days for having made a woman pregnant who was not his wife. On March 29, 1542, after the session, he was freed from his penance, 9 days that he has stayed in prison for fornication. The woman by whom he had this child was probably Thomas, the widow of Francois Mabouecta. There's another entry on July 5th, 1543, so that's like a year away. Bertet, already established in Geneva in 1532, was banished for a year in 1538 for having said that the Lord's syndics at present are only named to restore the fornicators. Ooh, okay. He also presented himself in council on April 1st, 1544, asking to be admitted to the number of the bourgeois gratis and to be admitted among the officers of St. Victor. The council orders that he be told that the said offices are filled, and as for being a bourgeois, that he should come another time. He finally was received into the bourgeoisie on August 15th, 1547. Okay, and that's the 15th council. Next is Thursday, March 23rd, 1542. Calvin, Henry, Champerul, Gilbel, Bertillon, Roger, Tacon, Pensabin, Blandin, and the officer Beauvray. First on the docket was Robert the Pack Saddler. Asked by Monsieur Pretemps why he did not appear and present himself last Thursday when he should have, and about his charge and how he had carried out his charge and why he did not present himself and do his duty. He answers that he did what he could and attended the sermons. He could say nothing of his faith. The consistory is of the opinion that he be given a longer term to instruct himself better in the faith, and that he come every Thursday to show how he has profited, and that he come every Thursday before communion, and that he be given more severe admonitions, and that ... Asked what profit he has made and how he has profited from the sermon since his last appearance, says he listened every Sunday, and the last Sunday he heard the sermon at St. Peter's, and he does not know who preached or what he said, and that it was at Vespers, and it was Ferre. The footnote says they meant feral, and so maybe that's just, well, who knows. But anyway, he got to see, Robert the Pack Saddler got to see William Farel preach as well, or another, and he's not been there on Wednesdays. He said that he preached on the commandments. The consistory remanded him to present himself every Thursday from now on until Easter, and then after Easter until he's fully instructed in the fear of God, to give an account of how he has profited day by day. Otherwise the council will not be content with him. The Lord's preachers have given him just admonitions. Jacques Simon, Pack Saddler. Oh, another Pack Saddler. Interrogated like the former, he's always been at the sermons on Sunday, said the Lord's Prayer fairly well, was present in the morning and at Vespers, remonstrances and admonitions as given to the former, and remanded like the former, and told to buy a Bible, and to instruct his people and guests in the Word of God. He is Master Jacques. Also said Jacques offered that if someone sent him a young child or any other, that he would teach him to say his faith and creed, that he would be well contented and would spare no effort with them, which was granted him. Next up, Philippas. I feel like we've met her before. What? Shh. It's okay, buddy. Philippas, wife of Pierre Costel, daughter of the late Egrig Mermet de Olmo. Berlin. Stop it, buddy. I know. That little chirp. Asked what conflict there was among her, her husband, and her mother, answers that she has no grudge against them. Asked if her husband is angry with her, answers that the anger her husband bears her mother is because he did not want her brother, Just, to marry, and that he would not be at the wedding if the said Dominique, her mother, was there, that he would leave, and she knows nothing more. Asked if she supports her mother or her husband, answers that when her husband was in prison, she spoke to her mother and told her that if she wanted to go see Pierre Costel, her husband, she should. And she did not want to go, and therefore she took care to comfort him. And it was another time that her brother's marriage was in question. The consistory, having heard the said daughter, resolves that both should be called and confronted with each other, having given them proper admonitions to make peace with each other, that the mother and daughter should not be in discord from now on, but live in peace with each other, and that a respectable man be provided who will report how they have made peace. He will inform Monsieur Calvin and Monsieur Gilbert and the said Costel together. Okay, we can go a little further, I suppose. Pernette, widow of Pierre Pouvel. Asked about the frequenting of sermons, said that she was at St. Peter's last week in the morning and at Vespers, and that Master Guillaume, William Farrell, preached in the morning. At Vespers, she does not know. And if she had remembered if she has remembered the word of God at all times, as the word God requires, and she does not know the Lord's Prayer, and is dissatisfied because she cannot say it, and other matters, the consistory advises that she come every Thursday to give an account of her faith, considering her great ignorance, and that she learn faith and continue every Thursday, and that every day she frequent the ... Mayaz, wife of Claude Charrier. Says that she has lived 30 years in Geneva and that she was at the sermon on Sunday, twice at St. Peter's, remanded like the others. Next up, Pierre Costel presented himself Berlin. Enough. Pierre Costel presented himself and was admonished about quarrels and anger. Replies that this was for the marriage of his brother-in-law, the son of Don Dominique, and that he was not at the wedding because his mother-in-law had said that she would not be there if the said Costel was, and that it was better that he should be absent than the mother, because the mother is closer than others. And he said that he bore no grudge against his mother-in-law, and remanded, as stated above with the others, including his mother-in-law. Next up, Lois, daughter of Claude Bouzonnet, Vesey in Troyne, who is maid of the Curial of Penay. And that she promised herself to one Thibaud, crossbowman, and Jehan de Miller, son-in-law of Jehan Corte, was present. Okay, so she promised herself, it looks like, to two different men. And it was last St. John's Day, and that she drank with the said Thibaud and her mistress. And she made no reservations about the marriage, nor he either, until at last they had supper at her master's house, and she did not want to give him up, and she would be given 5 florins if she gave him up, and she never wanted to give him up, and she never wanted to take the money, and she did not seek for it or ask of it. Thibaud, son of ... says that he went to play skittles and held the stakes, and she gave him a drink, and she drank without saying anything else, And the other young men told her mistress that her maid had drunk in the name of marriage, and told her, "May you be happy." And he did not understand that this was in the name of marriage, and says that she was later satisfied with 60 sous, and her father had not consented, and if ... Jehan Morse and Claude Roger and Claude Droblier and Francais the blanket maker were present when they made these promises, and she did not want the said 5 florins for giving him up, and her master George was present. Jehan Morse says that he was at the house of the said Lois's master. They drank there and told the said Lois to drink with the said Thibaud, and Simon the miller and Jehan Thessier were also present when they drank. Claude Roger said that he saw the said Lois drink with Thibaut, and someone said to her, "May you be happy," and this was at a late lunch they had at her master's. The lords advised the other witnesses be heard, and they summoned for next Thursday. And then this is the last entry for this consistory. This is Michael Bossu. He says that he has sworn faith to a girl from St. Cloud named Suzanne Rosset, daughter of ... inhabitant of St. ... widow of Master Jehan de Cabanis, painter, and asks advice because he cannot publish his banns in St. Cloud because of the papistry, his banns, if you recall. The lords are of the opinions that the said marriage should be made and remanded to tomorrow before the council, before their lordships. And that brings us all the way to March 30th, 1542. For some reason, it was postponed to Friday, the next day, last day of March. And that's where we'll pick it up next time.